In today's video, I am going to show you how we went from this to this. Hi and welcome to my channel. In this series, we are doing our garage renovation. We're starting with removing all of the drywall on this wall, which I already did. We're going to open up the doorways. We're going from a standard door to a opening of about 5.5 feet, just so it gives us more room to move our material in and out. So what we are going to do today is I've already installed the jack studs in this area, and the jack studs over here. So we are now ready to remove these king studs and these studs that are in the middle and input our beam, which is already created. We did put up 2 temporary walls, one here and one in the back, just to support the roof while we make this change. Once we're done with the changes on this side, we're going to go and do the exact same thing on my husband's side. Before I start any project, I like to draw it out to make sure I have the right measurements and make my material list. I did a ton of research since this was a load-bearing wall. We also had our contractor take a look as we were exploring removing the entire wall, but decided against it. I did review my state code requirements to make sure we had the right header length and had the proper number of jack and king studs. Before you do anything like this, I would recommend talking to a GC. After an early trip to the happiest place on earth, Home Depot, we're ready to get started. I started with disconnecting the electrical. Yes, I did cut the power off from the box. I will rewire everything once we have the header installed. It took some work to remove the staples from the wiring, but nothing a little muscle couldn't handle. So all of this wire should not be out, but yet and so here we are. Sheesh. So I am just going to, for the sake of doing it, cut it. We'll be removing this portion of the wall, so I'll need to move the electrical box over, so I am moving the wire to the next stud. I am drilling a new hole where the wire will run. However, this proved pointless because the header will actually extend across this location. I actually need to drill the hole to the left of where I'm currently drilling. My husband decided to lend his help with this project, so I quickly jumped into manager mode. Since this is a load-bearing wall, we will need to build 2 temporary support walls. We used some leftover 2x4s that I had from removing the shelving unit that was in my workshop. We screwed the 2x4s into the ceiling and put another one parallel on the floor. We're then going to use some additional 2x4s in the middle to ensure that everything is tight and snug. I did want to ensure everything was leveled. Just because it's a temporary wall doesn't mean it shouldn't be straight. This piece was a tad bit too long, so it did need to be trimmed just a little so that we could hammer it into place. The garage looks a mess. There's wood and tools all over the place, but we have built the 2 temporary walls to hold up the beam to support the wall. What I'm in the process of doing now is putting up the jack studs, which is what's going to support the header. Once I have the jack studs in, I'm going to cut the header down to size. I have to rip some plywood, glue that together, and then we'll knock the header in, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. I'm cutting the jack studs to size and we'll nail them to the king stud. I will be installing 2 jack studs to support the new header. We did drill holes in the jack studs to run the wiring through. However, this was unnecessary as the outlet will be to the left of the king stud. I did rent a framing nailer from Home Depot as it did not make sense to invest in one, but I wanted to ensure we were using the right size nails as this is a structural wall. So originally on this side, I was just going to add another jack stud, but because there is no flooring here, I'm not going to be able to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is add a 2x4 here and then cut this stud to the height for the header. So I'm going to build backwards instead of forwards. While Kareem is removing this small piece of drywall, I am measuring for the header. I measure a lot. We had some leftover plywood from the shelving unit that was in my workshop area. I am going to measure and cut the plywood down to size. The plywood will go in between the two header pieces. This ensures that the header is the right width and also provides some additional strength. Kareem is cutting out the third jack stud so that we can nail the first and second studs together. Given the small space between the wall and the third stud, it was hard to get the nail gun in between the two, so removing the third stud will allow us to nail them together. After nailing the second and third stud together, I am installing a new jack stud. It's a tad bit too long. Off to the miter saw we go. Here I go, measuring again. I put the header together using two 2x10s and a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. I measured the opening, which was about 70 inches, and cut the 2x10s to size as well as the plywood. Like I mentioned earlier, the plywood will go in between the 2x10s to ensure that it is the width of the wall and also adding some additional strength. I use the jigsaw to cut the plywood to size. After cutting the plywood, I will glue and nail everything together. The footage of me putting together the header for my side was not the best. As you can see behind me, we did already install the header for my side, but this is the same process that I used to create my header. I will show you all how we installed the header. The plywood is a little bold, so I use clamps to adhere everything together. I'm the type of person that will measure 50 times, make an attempt to cut, and measure 20 more times. The sun was just out here doing its thing and did not want me to be great. I nailed the two pieces together in a W pattern on both sides. Straight across here, just on this one. And then once you do that, you're gonna cut this out. But don't cut this out yet. Cut that piece first. Cut this piece first straight across.
I feel like I'm gonna cut the new piece. It's gonna cut into the new piece.
Okay, so then get the oscillating tool behind you if you can, because we can't cut the new piece. Yeah. Ready for install? Well, almost. Since we removed the old header, we had to nail in the new king stud. As I was nailing the stud, the second nail caused the stud to shift, knocking it out of place. We had to remove the nail and hammer the stud back into place. This header was extremely heavy. Unfortunately, it did not fit. The thought process was to bang the header in place, so I intentionally left it a tad bit too long, but it was too long that we were unable to get it in. So I will need to take the header to the miter saw and take off a very small piece. And it fits. Now we're hammering the header into place and making some minor adjustments to ensure that everything is flush. So now I'm nailing the header into place and we should be good to go. And this is the new stud after 15 attempts. Might have been a little bit less. We were finally able to get it in. It is flushed. It is holding up this side of the wall. We also took down the support walls, as you can see, and this opening looks so much better. Now to do the other side, it is going to be a rinse and repeat of everything we did on my side. Here's the final look. We moved all of our junk back inside until we get ready to resurface the floor. Next up, I'll show you how I reconnected the lights. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.